So, if you've been paying attention to the price of precious metals, gold and silver in particular, you'll notice that gold is trading over $5,000 an ounce and silver over $100 an ounce. Those kinds of prices were not imaginable 6 months ago. There was a lot of speculation that silver would go over $100 an ounce. I remember hearing talk of that many, many years ago. They would talk about how the dollar might lose its reserve currency status, etc. You've heard this. I remember back in 2008 during that financial crisis, people were talking about gold and silver going to the moon because the Fed announced quantitative easing, essentially, in a way, monetizing the debt. So there's more to increasing the money supply to cause inflation than just that. I mean, there's other things like money velocity and the overall economic output. But the fact that gold and silver is exploding in price is maybe a good thing if you're a gold and silver investor. Let's say you invest in the the companies that dig it out of the ground, or maybe you own gold and silver. It's actually really bad news, though. What this is an indicator of is that, first of all, reality is asserting itself because our financial system is, the entire global financial system is on shaky grounds. It always was. As such, the case is that we have central banking. It also means that it's coming apart. And when you have such a massive dislocation like this, you talk about a lot of chaos. Yes, silver is an important strategic metal. It's used in a lot of technologies. But if people are fleeing to gold and silver, that's an indication that people are fleeing to a safe haven. We're seeing all around the world, we see, for example, some ships of the Shadow Fleet getting seized. Okay, so there's a threat to global trade. You see all these countries arming themselves. We see the possible dissolution of NATO because of that, which I've made a video on that before, and I talked about America's relationship with NATO. You can check back and see what I said about Greenland for my view on NATO. But nonetheless, you have the old world alliances, the old financial system, like I said, the political alliances and the trading network that we have around the world is under threat. And yes, that bodes for opportunities, but it's also something to be very cautious about, and something that could potentially be very, very dangerous. When you have such dislocations like this, you wonder if there's going to be a major war. We are already seeing major wars right now. You see one in Russia and Ukraine. We're seeing the possibility of a major regional war in the Middle East between Iran, Israel, and the United States. We could see conflict flare out all over the world. And it's potentially very dangerous. I know people are hailing that gold and silver is at all-time highs, and a lot of people in the red pill movement, if you want to call it, the patriots, have invested in precious metals because they were foreseeing the possibility of hyperinflation. I'm very, very cautious, and I'm actually concerned about this. Having the financial system come apart like this is actually very dangerous, like I already said before, even domestically here in the United States. A lot of our industries, to various degrees, are leveraged, and you can't just have, for example, you couldn't just abolish the Federal Reserve overnight without causing a massive depression. So we're in a transition period right now. And like I said, I think people really need to be very careful about the future that we're heading into. People have the normalcy bias. They assume that they can trust going to the grocery store and buying whatever they want, and people are being polite, that most people don't steal from each other. But if our financial system collapses, that all goes out the window. The vast majority of people in the developed world are not at all self-sufficient. So this is very dangerous. And I would imagine that if I was Donald Trump, this would take a good portion of my attention right now. So, like I said, it's not entirely rosy that gold and silver are at all-time highs right now.